Okay, hello SPC, this is John. As promised, I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on Access and how it works with the files that we're working with through this strategic planning committee. So basically three areas. I'm going to show you the navigation of Access. I'm going to show you what I did with the spreadsheet that Andrew sent over. And then I'm going to show you the process of importing that Excel spreadsheet into Access and actually working with it. So real quickly, let's look at the basics of Access. So Microsoft Access is, if you open it up, you come to this field, and if you want to start a fresh database, you click here, okay, and this pops up, okay. And so essentially what this program allows you to do is if you want to create another one, it would be create here, but we just did that. So the basic idea is you're going to have a table, and this is going to be your data sheet view here. It's very simple, obviously, and you build it in the design view, okay? So we're going to call it table one. So now you're left with data sheet view here, okay, and design view here, okay? So when you're finished, you're going to have you might have 3 or 4 columns of data. You could have name, email, school, number, years of service, age, etc. So you could have 1 to 100 fields, as many as you want. So for example, we would have ID 1 would be Professor 1, his or her email, years of service, department, age, etc. ID 2 would be the next professor, their email, department, number of years of service, all the way down to, let's say, 10. Okay, so you'd have those 10 entries, 10 data points, and that would be your data table. Okay, it's unlimited, obviously. You can go as much as you want. So that would be your data table that you would grab data and work with, but you have to build that basically. You have to build that first, and you do that by going to Design View. And this is where you would set up the different fields that you want. So field 1 by default is the ID. And that's the primary. That little key there is a primary key. Hence, primary key. So that's how we identify you. So ID 1 would be Mr. Smith. ID 2 would be Professor Jones. ID 3 would be Professor Smith, and so forth. So you have to build the fields here, okay? This might be name, okay? Okay, and it might be that what you have to give it a data type. So it might be a short text, okay? And you can, if you want to, give a description. Name of professor, okay? Then you might have age, okay? And what kind of data type is that? That might be a number, okay? And how old uh, professor is, okay? You have email, okay? And that might be a hyperlink, okay? And there, um, their email. So essentially you build the fields here, and then they're going to appear on the, let's save it, then they're going to appear on the data sheet, okay? So you have name, age, and email. If you want to, you can add others, city, specialty, however, whatever you're trying to accomplish. And then you can start inputting all that data, okay? Or obviously, once this is set up, as we're trying to do, you can import the data from a Excel or a CSV file, okay? So again, this is the view, okay? You may have 10 entries, but we've built all that data back here. And when you click, if you notice, if you click on something here, number, okay, this properties field opens up, field properties. That's where you can do a little bit of programming, if you will, not certainly not complicated, but it allows you to add some more features that tie back to that number. So if you want that number to be long, short, decimal places, some kind of default value, etc., you can do all that here. Okay, and these have little drop-down menus. So, you know, it can get a little involved, but it's not terribly complicated. So we built it here, and then we view it here. Just as a little side note, if you notice down in this right-hand corner, you have datasheet view, and then you have design view. So you can also toggle back and forth on the status bar, whichever's easiest. Okay. So once we have this, you can build forms, you can build reports, you can do queries, and you could, if you wanted just anyone that's over the age of 40, or anyone that's in the management department, so forth. So where are we? Fields, tables, home, um, tools, help fields, table. Um, you can build tables, you can create forms, all kinds of things once this is all built. Okay, so that's the basics of Access. Okay, so let's take a look at something else. Get rid of that for a second. And so this is Andrew sent over an Excel spreadsheet. Just as a beta test, I took a piece of it and deleted the rest just to work with a small segment of it. So I have about 50 items here, and he and Jamie set up the fields as date, event, and notes. And they just had, you know, a lot of this. So they basically organized it under 3 fields, which is nice. And so I cleaned it up a little bit. There were some gaps here and data missing. This is probably going to be one of the more challenging or time-consuming parts, cleaning up the data, getting it ready for access. So I did this here. I removed the space between the date and there was a blank row, so I removed that and just cleaned it up a bit. Okay. So once we have this, then what we want to do is take that and import it into Access. Okay, so if we open this back up, and I've already done this for us, so we can kind of speed up the process. Okay, so and I'll show you how we import this. So here is, I opened up beta test, okay, and click on it. Here is all that data that I imported. Okay, it's about 50 fields. Okay, remember this is the primary key, this row ID. So the first one is there's nothing there. The second one is August 29th, 2018. To meet the dean and faculty, notes, multiple items, entries. So This is where we're working. This is where we can build reports, we can do queries, etc. If we click here, Design View, okay, this is where I built it. Okay, this is where I set up the date, the event, and the notes, the three different fields. And again, this is the primary key. It's denoted by the field 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so date, if you click on this, this is a type of data, was date and time for data. Okay, and I can put date of the event as an option. The event, I made that short text. Again, if you want to, you can make it long text, large number, currency, whatever data you're trying to demonstrate. Obviously, it's an event, so it's going to be a short text. And this again, whoops, excuse me. If you look down below, this is where you can really fine-tune your fields. So if you want to make them a certain character acceptance, if you want to do some kind of default or something is required, so that if someone inputs something and it's incorrect, it forces them to input the correct data. So this can get a little, a little tricky, a little complex, if you will, but once you work with it, it's not too bad. Notes, again, that's also short text. You could change that to long text, hyperlink, an attachment, a yes, no. You can also make it a drop-down menu through this lookup wizard. Okay, so if you wanted to put, let's say, for example, you had a database that was a vacation trip, and you wanted someone to pick between a quiet vacation, a busy vacation, a moderate vacation. It could be a drop-down menu, and that could be one of your fields. Okay, so let's go back here. So just like Excel, you can make these, you can expand these, make them larger if you want. Here, you can double click, just like Excel, and it will expand that row, that column, so that everything is visible. So again, we have date, event, and notes. Those are three fields. We can have more if we want to, but it looks like, based on what Jamie and Andrew worked on, there are only three fields, so that makes it more manageable. So the way you import this, just if you have a curiosity, you go to this external data, new data source, and it says from file. That's, of course, what I picked from Excel. You can grab it from all these different types of files: text, XML, HTML. So if you had an Excel file, you click here, import the source data, browse from where you have it located, and you import it. Once you bring it in, you do have to do a little bit of, kind of polishing up, but, that's not a big deal. And I think that's basically it. So we can talk about this on Thursday, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.